I'm not a fan.
Imitation is the truest form of flattery. But is it still flattering when the imitation is showing everyone how lazy and uninspired your brand has become?
Ooh, he talking shit about Pokemon. Let's watch.
Why are your fans flocking to games made by teams with budgets 1/1,000,000th of your own and claiming it's an objectively better product? These games were originally made to bring people together and to inspire imaginative minds. It was something you had to hide under your bedsheets when your parents came in at night to make sure you weren't pissing about and actually went to sleep. Why do the new games look like shit when you own the biggest IP in the entire world? It's pure lazy.
I've been saying that shit for years. Multi-billion-dollar company, by the way, and they lazy. But then you see the Nintendo dick suckers on Twitter talking about, I'm here to defend my billion-dollar company. They're trying their best. But then you see Game Freak show off trailers on PlayStation with these high-res ass games. It's Pokemon Company. It's Nintendo. It's not Game Freak.
And greed. And how do you take such a cult fan base and make them your biggest haters? These are all thoughts I found myself pondering on over the past 6 years of this franchise.
Trillion-dollar company.
How can something so established in people's everyday lives since they were a mere child have such an insane decline in quality while their net worth continues to skyrocket? I mean, name a store that doesn't sell at least one item with a Pokemon on it. From cereal boxes to band-aids and even skateboard collabs.
True.
This company has found a way to generate money in essentially every lower middle class market, and honestly, it even soars beyond that, reaching a much more financially stable audience.
What?
I find it hard to get excited for their newest title, Legends EA, when their victories have been so very few and far between. They've truly fallen from grace. This company had us in a chokehold for decades, and now they just take advantage of our nostalgia to milk us for a few extra bucks every couple of years. So to find out what's happened, we need to go back to when these games were at their peak. And I don't mean financially, because somehow Scarlet Violet and Sword Shield have some of the highest sales right behind the original games. No. When I say this, I like to look at the last universally acclaimed game, Pokemon Black and White. One of the most memorable parts of this.
Bro, and the sad part about Black and White is I was one of those people that was like, this game is ass. I ain't gonna lie. I can wholeheartedly admit that shit. When Black and White came out, I low-key fell off that game. I remember, like, I made it to, like, the first gym badge, and I was just like, I don't know what it is, but I wasn't feeling this generation. And then now looking back at it in hindsight, after I finished the Nuzlocke of this shit, even though we didn't get to complete the Nuzlocke, we got our ass beat at the Elite Four. This is one of the best games I played in terms of Pokemon in a very long time. It's crazy.
Game is the major focus on story. The franchise taking a slightly more mature approach since their audience's balls have dropped, they must have figured it's time the series did the same. The enemy team in this game isn't fucking around. They initially go from being a super PETA organization to environmental terrorists. Hell, they even abuse Pokemon within the first 20 minutes of the game. Due to the nature of Team Plasma's mission, they make Pokemon their captives in the name of freeing them, essentially being a parallel to real-life animal safety.
You're gonna neuter me, Electric? Not my balls, please.
Regulations. In terms of characters, many people can relate to N and his severe daddy issues, as he was fed all this toxic propaganda as a child, making him believe he's some sort of prophet meant to free the Pokemon, when in reality, his dad wants to make him a general in his fascist army to control the world via, you guessed it, Pokemon. But there's honestly no way this could be a parallel to any real-world issues. As a kid, N doesn't just fight you, he questions you on the moral dilemma of fighting Pokemon.
True.
I don't know, dude, I just got this game for Christmas and wanted to see monsters punch each other. Even the bits of dialogue in these games hold so much more weight and meaning. N's heart is pure and innocent, but there's nothing more beautiful and terrifying than innocence. Did 8-year-old me understand what the hell this meant? Absolutely not.
Hell
But
no.
as one gets older, they can acquire a new appreciation for the messages these games had all along. Being able to mature alongside a piece of media is a beautiful thing that these modern games just don't get quite right. Gen 5 matured with its audience. It wasn't just about throwing balls at monsters, it was about breaking the cycle of generational abuse, choosing your moral alignment, and telling N's cult-leading father to suck it.
And I don't
Mind
care
you,
what
all
anybody
over the
says,
Nintendo-
bro. There's just something more charming about pixels, bro. There's something more charming and more personality with the pixels compared to these ugly-ass 3D models, bro. Like, I hate looking at the 3D models in these games. It's like, it's just so ugly, bland, and boring.
Now, how does the series' most current game hold up in comparison? Spoiler alert, it's not great. The enemy team in this game is Team Star, and when compared to Plasma, it's an actual fucking joke. Team Star is made up of bullied theater kids who just lacked after-school supervision.
Facts! Bully theater kids! Bully theater kids! Some shit out of Glee, bro!
Seriously, I found myself sighing every time I was forced to encounter them. Their motive is literally to stop bullying, which, sure, whatever, is a positive message, but how-
Right? Yes, their whole message is about stop bullying, but then they low-key bullying people. So it's kind of like they're going against the shit that they were even preaching.
the hell did we devolve into such a flat and two-dimensional motive for the villains? Keep in mind, we're coming off of a plot that made you question the morality of a society where species live amongst each other cohesively and whether or not these creatures are okay with this dynamic or not, to an after-school club of losers. And holy shit, dude, 90% of this game's story is just endless dialogue to span through. It's bad enough the Pokemon games don't have voice acting, but in this game, you're forced to read through what feels like 10 paragraphs of dialogue every 5 steps you take in-game. Whoa, that was crazy. Yeah, totally, that crab sure was big. I had scrolled through TikTok for the majority of the damn time while I mashed the skip button. One of my hottest takes is the need for voice acting in these 3D games.
Bro, I've been saying that shit forever. They could get away with no voice acting in the pixel games, right? Because I feel like usually in pixel games, the dialogue boxes popping up and all that type of shit. I never ever really seen like voice acting in pixel games. Yo, what's up, Violent, aka JD? What's up, baby? How you been, bro? But now in these 3D games, and with the amount of money they have, they should have been had voice acting in this bitch already. But they still don't put voice acting in it. I feel like, is it maybe because Nintendo has fear of the voice actors potentially getting into drama? Because you know how sometimes people on Twitter are, like if they announce, oh, this guy's going to voice act this character in Pokemon, then they're going to be like, oh, let me do a deep dive search and find their fucking MySpace where they potentially probably said a slur in 2008 and then try to cancel them and then make Nintendo fucking lose their minds or some shit. You said after all the Genshin shit, definitely. Maybe that's what it is, bro. You said staying busy as usual. Don't forget to drink water. Capri-Sun, I'm already way ahead of you. I got my H2 Olga right here.
If you're going to have an expansive dialogue and build a more immersive world, I think it's time to ditch the voiceless style the games have had since its inception. I know a lot of people will disagree, but I feel the lack of voice acting was part of the aesthetic of the 2D games.
Yes, that's what I just said. No voice acting was part of the aesthetic of the 2D games. Now that we're in 3D, bitch, put voice acting in this shit.
Charm, but since that style's been long abandoned, I think it's time we evolve the storytelling as well. I found that if the dialogue was voiced, it would be a lot easier to follow and drag on a lot less, as watching this lifeless 3D model stare into the void for 5 minutes at a time gives me less world of mythic
exactly
and more feelings.
Especially the ones where they're like the singer cutscenes. You telling me there's freaking Pokemon trainers popping up with microphones, zero voice acting, and they're like important characters, and all you see is silence and dialogue boxes with like asterisks and like effects of, come on, man. You said that's more of a thing in Japan mobile games, where Pikachu short in Japan got banned because of the female narrator before he got arrested for a drug crime. What drug crime? There was a Pikachu short in Japan that got banned because the female narrator got arrested for a drug crime. What drug did she do? It better not be marijuana, bro. It better not be some simple shit like marijuana, because then I'll go to Japan right now. I'll go to Japan right now and I free her. Play Black and White 2 for the music-related characters. I forgot, but probably is. Percocet? I don't know what Percocet is.
Vietnam flashbacks.
I heard of it,
At least
though.
give us an option to toggle it on and off. The most interesting plot point was the AI professors, but you only see them in the last 3% of the fucking game. Right when you finally feel like you're gonna get to dive into an interesting plot device, nope, game's done. Tune in for the debatably more exhausting DLC, which has essentially nothing to do with the plot of the main game. And I don't want to hear this whole, the game is made for kids argument when they've shown on multiple occasions that they can have a meaningful narrative. Just because something is made for kids doesn't mean it has to be some soulless, brain-dead garbage. There's a difference between Cocomelon and Bluey. Arvin's storyline with Mabosstiff felt like it had potential for an emotional payoff, but it goes absolutely nowhere. You cure him, and this asshat throws the poor dog straight into battle. Should've just took old Yeller out back at this point. Like, come on. These games have Nintendo behind them, and they can't afford to hire someone with a writing skill set above the level of a fucking middle school dropout. There's probably better shit on Wattpad. Story beats aside, there's one major difference between these two games that ever since the change was made, it has divided the entire fan base. That being the switch from a traditional 2D art style to a more modern 3D art style. In all honesty, it is night and day. The soul of these games seems to have just evaporated from every corner of these digital worlds ever since the transition. Putting the same 2D sprite alongside its 3D counterpart, you may know.
Bro, I say that shit. Look how much more expression the 2D sprite got. That 3D Charizard ugly as fuck. Look at that 2D Charizard, bro. Bro got sauce. Come on, man.
Notice how lifeless and static they've gotten. They lack expression, and in a lot of cases,
look at that Tyranitar. Look at that Tyranitar pixel art. My man got his hand out like this. Tough. Look at this ugly ass Tyranitar over here.
I like to take the saturation up in my videos, so here's what they look like now. It's literally almost gray in comparison. I don't entirely think it's the fact that these creatures are 3D now that makes the style so boring. It's a lack of effort into making each one of these creatures have their own personality and character. The worlds that should in theory be more expansive.
And before somebody be like, oh man, the 3D models, hell no. Have you ever played Pokemon Coliseum? Have you ever played Pokemon, the other 3D Pokemon games? What was the one for the Wii, chat? Those Pokemon had expression. Pokemon Stadium, each one of those Pokemon had mad fucking expression and shit. Mad different move animations, so much expression. All these new 3D Pokemon games are lazy as fuck. And all they do, yes, it was Battle Revolution. Crazy expression all those 3D models had. In these new games, they literally take the Pokemon Go models, copy and paste them bitches from Pokemon Go, and then they drag and drop that shit to the new Pokemon game folder, and then they're like, voila, here's our 3D model from Pokemon Go. We're just gonna drag and drop these files, bro.
For more adventurous traversal than ever are just wide empty spaces that lack any life or natural charm. These same spaces make you walk for 10 minutes in between locations to fill your time, with nothing visually pleasing to even stimulate you along the way. Another issue I've had has been the dumbed down challenge. However, this point
I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. Say on God.
I get it. They want to obtain a more casual audience that doesn't feel pushed away from the franchise, but in that same process, they've made their most dedicated audience an afterthought. From XP share to infinite TMs and a much bigger...
Oh, don't even get me started with that shit. Yeah, I remember when I was bitching about that shit, but I guess, like, you know what? It's a quality of life, okay. But that whole shit where it's like you catch Pokemon, everybody gets experience. Like, motherfuckers don't remember the days where it's like, yo, you had to have your main Pokemon in the front if you wanted them to gain experience. You had to individually train each Pokemon until you got to a point where you receive EXP share. And then when you receive the EXP share, you had to give it to that one Pokemon in your party that you wanted to level up slowly but surely and shit. And then there's also other methods where you had to give them a lucky egg, put them in the start of battle. If they were too weak, let them hold the lucky egg, swap them out to another Pokemon that's stronger, just so you could get the EXP, and then the Pokemon with the lucky egg could get some extra EXP. Motherfuckers don't know about that shit. Now everybody get experience. You breathe, everybody gets experience. You take a shit in the toilet, everybody gets experience. Oh shit, everybody's freaking evolving now because you took a shit. Fuck. You said never knew what I was doing and overlevel my main Pokemon. That's another thing I don't like. Because in these new Pokemon games, you could be on Route 2 catching 10 Pidgeys and all your Pokemon is already at level 20. How the fuck? You caught 10 Pidgeys and everybody level 20 already on Route 1, Route 2? How does that make any sense? Don't get me wrong, right? I get it. It's a quality of life, but it's kind of like, damn, bro, you took the challenge out of this shit.
Hand-holding experience throughout your entire journey. Certain mechanics with quality of life changes, such as instant access to your boxes, are nice, but you can essentially play through the entire game with one overleveled Mon and get experience for your entire team without ever using them once.
Exactly. Back in the day, we had to use those Mons. We had to literally swap them out and level them up and actually get them good. But now you could just cheese it, like he said. You could have one Pokemon at the start. It could be your starter Pokemon. Just let them mow everything down, and then everybody just gets the EXP, and then it's just like, cool.
In my day, trainers weren't such pussies. Now that we have a better idea of what's different, let's talk about what they've done to change and evolve the franchise past that initial leap to 3D. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. On a serious note, I think Legends Arceus was by far their most ambitious.
I agree. Legends of Arceus, I agree. I thought that game was fire. Them introducing all those new mechanics, then the alpha Pokemon popping up and all this type of shit, the environments. Legends of Arceus, I could give that shit to pass. They actually cooked with that game. They cooked with that shit.
Project to date, and overall, I believe it paid off.
You said I don't even beat post-game? Rios, you don't even want to see me in post-game. You just want to see me suffer. You don't care about the story. You don't care about the content. You just want to see me suffer.
Took a step backward instead of forward with its successor.
What's in the post game anyway? Giratina or some shit?
Gave the player from sneaking up on Pokemon, dodging attacks, and actually throwing the Pokeball yourself, requiring even some level of accuracy. Pokemon could even be caught without battle. You yourself had to avoid damage, not just your Pokemon, meaning these giant legendary creatures could actually rock your shit. And to place the cherry on top, there were many methods of traversal across this pleasantly colorful world, even compared to Breath of the Wild, which I believe is an overstatement. It respected your time with much shorter dialogue, snappy UI, efficient fast.
Hell no. This game also had racism, remember? Yo, this game was crazy. They were like, look at this pussy. He fell from the sky. This guy fell from the sky. You said hot take, the challenge wasn't that you had to actually level them up. It was what you had to fight. He says, no one above age over 12 is gonna want to unintentionally fight a gym leader or boss under leveled, and grind wasn't the challenge. It was the trainers who had full kits. No, but it was also the grind, though. Because it's like, if there were some gym leaders you had to fight, per se, right? If you only had 2 good Pokemon that was, like, up to level and the rest of your party was very low, you have no variety. So it was definitely also training your Pokemon, because sometimes you needed like a full team. Like if you were going to like Gym Leader 3, and Gym Leader 3's Pokemon is like 4 of them are level 30, and you only have 2 of them, like one's level 30 as your main Pokemon and one is level 25. You need to train the rest of them, or else they might get bodied. You could probably get through with like your one Pokemon, you know, but then when you get to late game, you have to have like a full stack team leveled up. You said they banned me out the village? Yup, they did. You said, oh my god, Retro, let it go. Hell no, Cypher. You came into this live stream. You saw my notification and you went in this shit. I ain't gonna let it go. I'm a hater till I die.
Systems, and it didn't drag you by your ear to teach you what the start button was. The story in this game actually kept me interested throughout the entire thing. A literal space god chose to tear you through time and space, isekai style, to save the world from an approaching threat and to establish the first ever Pokedex. The game touches on themes of fear, colonization, religion, and this world's ancient ideals of man versus Pokemon. So how come after so many steps in the right direction did the dev team decide to walk off a fucking cliff? In an interview on the creation of the Red and Green games with the creator of the Pokemon franchise, Satoshi Tajiri, he states, "We originally set out to make something like an RPG. At Game Freak, what we care about is making things that are new and interesting, so it's up to you all to decide if it should be classified as an RPG or not. As long as you think it's a new and interesting game, that will make me happy." This core philosophy in innovation and change has clearly been lost throughout the years. Though he is no longer the director for the games, he is now the executive producer at Game Freak. Did the money from pumping out these continuous projects outweigh the importance of change? There's many reports on multiple accounts that Tajiri spent countless unpaid hours to ensure the game he envisioned came to fruition. So I believe this team does care. Perhaps it's a case of an overwhelming work environment with strict due dates. We've seen so many dev teams overworked due to their publishers and investors' pressure to pump out a product by a deadline.
Like I said, it's Nintendo's fault.
I was curious on Game Freak's work environment, so I tried to do some research. With there not being very much to find, I did find a Reddit thread discussing a Glassdoor review from a supposed ex-employee. I'm not sure on the validity of said post, since after looking into it, anyone can upload a post to Glassdoor. So I tried looking for more reviews, coming up on only one other. So I wondered, why isn't there very much on the internet regarding Game Freak and their work environment? As it turns out, Game Freak has a shockingly small dev team consisting of only 207 people as of last year.
That's crazy.
Supercell, yes, the people that make Clash of Clans.
Clash of Clans, bro. How much Clash of Clans got in their team?
Consists of 400 and...
What? You telling me the mobile game Clash of Clans got more people working on that shit? Game Freak only got 202 motherfuckers in there? Come on, bro. Clash of Clans goated.
80, a mobile game developer having more than double the development team of one of the biggest franchises in the entire world. That is ridiculous. Scarlet and Violet mechanically had a satisfying gameplay loop, but everything that surrounds it keeps it from being an enjoyable experience all the way through. This game ended up just being an efficient, shiny farm. While Game Freak made this wonderfully optimized game, another company was brewing up something that Pokemon fans had been wanting forever. Pocket Pair, a Japanese dev team consisting of only 55 people, set out to make a game that they had been wanting and knew this neglected fan base craved as well. This game, as most of you know, later became Power World, a Pocket Monster game with some more thing that made the old games and even new ones like Legends Arceus so good. Encouraging exploration, having you strategize what creatures you needed to catch and for what purpose, whether for combat or assigned tasks. It made you feel like every creature that you caught truly became part of your team. Sure, this game ripped a lot from what Game Freak had built, but they improved upon it in every single way. Pocket Pair packed more innovation into their game with a fraction of the funding than Nintendo and Game Freak have in an entire decade. You aren't dragged through tutorials, you command your pal and fight alongside.
Yo, and then when this game came out, you already saw the Nintendo drones. Freaks dick in their mouth talking about their my multi-billion-dollar company. We're crying on Twitter, bro.
In Power World, you scale massive cliffs, glide across forests, find rare pals in unique places, and face actual environmental Lit and Violet. You glitch through the floor, find 12 identical trees, and accidentally aggro Lechonk for the 3rd time in a row during an FPS drop. Keep in mind, all the gameplay I'm showing you is recorded on the Nintendo Switch 2, after a performance update. This game ran like dookie on the Switch 1. After all of this, you'd think Nintendo would take notes of their success, maybe even take inspiration.
Exactly! They didn't. Instead, Nintendo got mad and said, we're gonna sue you because you're using balls in your game to capture them. We use balls. You can't use balls to capture them. I'm gonna sue you.
And apply it. Catching monsters and balls is now copyrighted, apparently. Guess what else they had to change? Riding a mythical monster.
That's stupid. So you telling me any game where you're riding a beast, Nintendo could just say, hey, you're copying us. Fuck out of here, bro.
Instead of being inspired to make a better product for their fans, they throw a tantrum because of their own genre. Game Freak has had to pump out a new Pokemon game every 2 to 3 years, with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet releasing the same year as
Nintendo
Legends
doing
Arceus.
anything possible to bring Paul Word down from their deserved throne.
Man, thank you, Noah, for the 100 biddies, bro. You said Nintendo sue Monster Hunter?
Just to extend these
Capcom would be
deadlines
like,
and
hey,
allow Game Freak to invest all their assets into the projects that
Hey.
matter, instead of a new cafe remix or shitty remake that somehow manages to be worse than the original. This franchise was built on a unique idea and pioneered the Monster Pal genre. The Pokemon franchise biggest threat isn't Pal World, many lawsuits they throw at them. In the end, it's themselves. The
Yup.
franchise has shown its potential to reach a new golden age for its video games, with more funding than ever.
Another thing, bro. Nintendo, I'm tired. No, the new Pokemon games. I'm tired of the terrestrialized sparkles. I'm tired of the fucking sparkles. I don't know what it is, bro. It's like they don't work on the environments at all. But when it comes to the Pokemon ball throwing animations and a bunch of fucking glitter and sparkles come out, I'm tired of the fucking sparkles. Fuck all the, like, they put 90% of their budget in the sparkles when they were terrestrializing in that one game, and then the rest of the game was just ass.
Skill versus will situation, and with the assets under Nintendo's, certainly a will problem. Legends EA seems to be more of the same regurgitated content we've seen for the last 2 games, so I'm hoping with Gen 10, Nintendo finally shows the
But
world what kind of Pokemon
competitive!
they can produce. They
All right,
can't
I guess
pick a
competitive.
franchise they own. I think it's time they do it with the most profitable IP in history. Maybe CPS needs to be called, as I think sometimes they need to be reminded that the Italian plumber is not their only child.
Damn. He says CPS. Good video. Good video. Mudahar got caught again. What did he do? He said, I'm an engineer. Was never an engineer. Nigel Uno. He says, a simple yes or no to prove a point. Would you watch a full Galactic Kids Next Door series? I would. No cap. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I remember. And the shit, they had to dig up their nose and put the booger in the shit.
Oh! My family is there! Your family! Our friends! It's ruled by adults. Infested. Too far gone. What about Sector V? Hoagie, Cookie, Wallaby, and Abigail! Abby would never